Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the session for today, your Thursday episode of your live market update and charts of the day. Delighted to see you here, of course, as always. Thank you very much for pinning and keeping me company as we look around what's happening in markets today. Let's just pop up this important message, just to remind you this is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence on anything you see here. Make sure you follow trading plans and, of course, manage risk on every trading action. It's vital that you do so, of course, and make sure you do it consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. Let's get into the presentation for today and look at what might be moving markets. And of course, we'll start, as always, with what happened overnight. We saw a second successive day of losses on financial markets. And so that's interesting. We do have some key data coming out over the next few days, and that's going to be dictating what happens with markets going forward. We did see big tech underperforming, and that's not worthy, as it seems to have been big tech that has carried the market forward. US futures, if we look at them, are mildly higher so far today. Asian markets are soft in early trading, with the ASX down around 0.2% when last I looked. European futures are pointing to a cautious open also. The US dollar index was strong overnight. We'll check out a chart on that. And as a result, gold retraced from those record highs below that 3,800 level. And copper was one of the stories of the day. It surged, hit highs not seen since the imposition of that 50% import tariffs on any copper coming into the US. And all was also relatively buoyant overnight, testing the upper end of the range. We'll check in on all of those charts in a moment, as well as Bitcoin, which still is trading around that sticky 12,000 level, which appears to be one it keeps on migrating to. Trade news is going to continue to be important, of course, throughout the weekend going forward. Trump keeps threatening new tariffs on new enemies. Oops, what's he doing? We've got PCE data out on Friday. Might run a session on that, so keep your eyes peeled. As for today, we've got US GDP and weekly jobs due. Also this afternoon, we've got the Swiss rate decision also due. No change expected. So that's the headlines. Let's look a little bit around those headlines and see if we can find some things of interest. Should check out. First of all, let's just check out the. Let's see if we can check out the futures. See if it's going to play today. It is indeed, and so you can see there that we have those slightly green futures. European market's fairly flat. We've got selling in oil after a good day yesterday. Copper just continues to surge up in excess of 1% today. Gold's pretty flat, and if we look at the FX world, then there's not a great deal of movement apart from the Aussie dollar is looking very strong. So that's interesting in terms of where things are sitting right now. In Asia, we've had a little bit of a flip. The ASX is now positive, 0.2% to the upside, which is 0.1% to the downside a little while ago. Let's just have a look at what's happening, perhaps in a bit more detail. Not sure what's come out to impact on that, but over the last, it may be something to do with copper, which obviously has a few minus on in the ASX 200. And indeed, if we look at materials, doing very well today, along with energy on that popping oil price. Healthcare, staples, telecom, all the defensive stocks not doing so well today. They were outperforming early on in the session. I'm just going to do a little search up it, actually. Let's see what we can find. Can't find anything that's right now. Let's just check out CNBC while we'll have a look at this. You can see the Chinese market is just a little flat, as is the Hang Seng. The Nikkei was the underperformer earlier on in the day, and that appears to be. I can't see. That would impact on lithium, but I'm not sure why it impact on copper unless that company does copper too. Let's just check out that. No, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. I will post in Discord if I find anything of interest, but I can't find anything yet that suggests why that might be. There used to be a great site called Kickout Metals, but they seem to have got rid of it. So there's just let's just see if we can try and. Oh, there we go. Found it. Okay, so there's been a major mine disruption. Freeport Magma. Oh, wow. Okay, so the biggest copper producer producing stock, Freeport McMoran, has a problem at its Grasberg mine in Indonesia. Um, that's why. There we go. We found it. That's what you get for having a resistance. Anyway, let's get back to the way things are. Let's have a look at what's coming out from a data point of view later on today. As I've already said, we've got that Swissy rate decision expecting to keep at norm at zero. Later on, we've got final GDP, not as important as the preliminary or advanced GDP numbers, but you can see there we've got an expectation that it will match last Q number. So if we see that softer, that could be a bit worrisome to markets. And then we've got weekly jobs, which are expected to be again around about the same as the last week, as they were last week. And obviously, that's very much in focus at the moment in terms of the Fed's decision making. But tomorrow is what it's all about. The PCE data is what is going to drive market sentiment. About an hour before market opens, some Canadian GDP out as well. And worthwhile just keep an eye on that CPI number that comes out of Japan. If that pops higher still, it might delay any chance of the BOJ raising rates. We've got consumer sentiment and inflation expectations, but these are revised numbers, so won't have as big an impact as is the norm for the um, flash preliminary data. So let's have a check in on some charts. We'll start with the S&P 500, I think. And there you see the S&P 500 moving up very nicely. Just that slight pullback over the last couple of days. Hi to Wayne and David and Lita and Neil. Good night to you all. Thank you very much for popping into YouTube. If you wouldn't mind just pinging a little tick. Today, Roger. Pinging a little tick on that little thumbs up thing. That's always good for YouTube's algorithm. Always helps a little bit. Anyway, back to those charts. So you see that pullback over the last couple of days. It's hardly catastrophic, is it? So we're still seeing markets looking strong. You can see that bounce today. That's edging back upwards. Not sure there's a massive trading opportunity there. There's possibly 10 or 12 points on the S&P 500. And Nasdaq looks very, very similar on the 30-minute chart. You can see there. And again, you're just scraping a few points, maybe a 30 or 40 points before we hit some traffic. Interesting to see what this does to European markets and whether there's a slingshot effect of that. I did reference the USD looking quite strong yesterday, and indeed that's what happened. You can see there that push to the upside, a little weaker in trading today. after that really strong surge right throughout the trading day yesterday. And that's why we saw this candle on gold. We're just above neutral on gold this morning, but as I said, the big story overnight was copper. We're seeing a follow through. This is really strong. Um, that's changed fairly significantly since, well, the last 30 minutes or last hour or so. So what's happened now is we've breached yesterday's high at around about 483.60. So that push to the upside is interesting. There'll be another 14 or $15 just simply because of that last spiking candle. It looked as though perhaps this is some profit taking going on in Asia, but we're still getting buyers coming in at a fairly big rate of knots. And in terms of the next price where we might see a pause, possibly around about that 495 level if this momentum continues. So plenty of upside in copper. Of the charts we've had a look at, that's the most compelling. The other one that was looking interesting for much of yesterday, and indeed we finished over this 64.70 level that we'd marked previously on the chart as a potential resistance, so a double bottom type of formation on the daily chart with a possible move up around just over $1 to around about 66.12. It feels a bit tight to me. I think the higher probability trade is if we do breach that 66.12 to the upside. But even then, it is quite messy in here. We've got 200 MA sitting there. We've got lots of consolidated price action within a fairly tight range of $1.50 through June to the end of July. But nevertheless, it does look as though oil is very, very well supported at 62.13. Trump won't be happy with that. As for Bitcoin, let me just take it out a bit just for context. I did talk about this 112 being a sticky level. This is 112 here. So you can see there, we did essentially bounce off 111, 900. There is 112. But you can see the price keeps on migrating to this level. This is a liquidity zone that markets keep on testing. Looks as though it's going to come down and test again. No evidence of continued buy momentum in trading today. You can see that. So it's put back into this really short-term range. And as I said, wouldn't surprise me to see it test 112 to the downside again. Doesn't look like a great place to be at this stage. So copper is overwhelmingly the chart that looks as though it's having some good things happening to it. On to the FX front. Let's just start with the US yen. Really strong day, of course, with the US yesterday. You can just see that pullback through the day so far. A little bit of a bounce, a little bit of a retracement there. So next move is key. That's not jumping up and down saying buy me, buy me. I wouldn't get interested to the upside unless it starts to tackle 149. And I'll be looking at today's low so far as as a potential area of interest for a short trade, possibly restricted to around about 25 to 30 pips. May see it come down and test that level there, with 25 pips at around about 148.32. So a little bit of, is that US dollar weakness or is it yen strength? Well, if we look at the hourly chart on the Aussie, you can see again that US strength yesterday, but really strong bounce today off the support level on the Aussie. The Aussie's looking quite strong across the board at this stage. Whoops. Supported there at 65.80. Again, this looks as though it's just going into some no man's land there, so I'm not very happy with that. GB pound, yeah, GB pound Aussie could be interesting. Again, playing into that Aussie strength. Looking really at this level at around about 204. Nice round number there to trade. We talked about this last night. It did go to the upside and boom. So that 30 pips that we talked about on Inner Circle yesterday came to pass. We're now looking at the opposite trade. We're looking for a breach of 204 to potentially take us down to 203.64, 65, somewhere around that area. So a nice 35 pip move there is potentially on the cards. We'll keep that on your radar. The one that I really liked is still the Aussie yen on the hourly chart. You can see there. Should we get a close above this? And it looks as though it's given it a crack today. Let's say maybe, well, 98.05 is where the resistance is if you look at these closes and that 5-week reversal. which turned out to be a retracement rather than a massive reversal, but you can see the bounce back up. So we're looking for trend continuation, really. And then a possible move up to 98.35. That looks like a high probability trade. It is 30 pips. So again, it isn't going to break any records, but maybe waiting until we breach that 98.08 will just create that space, breach these wicks that we've seen on a few occasions over the last over the last 9 days. So early last week, I guess. So yeah, so 98.08 would be my potential entry on this. Looks like a strong chart of the day. Let's just check out the euro dollar kiwi. Sorry, the kiwi yen. Let's have a look at kiwi USD first. Some buying like that USD weakness looks as though it may create an opportunity here. This would be my alternative chart, just because I think this gap could be closed fairly significantly. That was created on the back of that USD strength. Um, Obviously, it may not make it all the way up, but there's a possible 25 pips there. You can see it has breached this potential resistance here at 58.17. The 30 chart, you can see it's the last. When's that last happen? That's over the last 15 minutes then. So there's a potential opportunity there, not quite as strong as the Aussie yen, but those are the two I'll keep an eye on. Aussie yen and Kiwi USD. What is our? Those both look interesting. A day on the ASX, which has been very bouncy. We had this retracement on 360 ASX. This has been one of my favorite stocks over the last few months. It's just continued to deliver. Parenti's just pulled back from record high, but not surprisingly, my guess, if we have a look at the top performance on the ASX, we might as well look at our Sunfire Resources. That's great. So check out some of these. I think Champion Iron do very well. Also, BHP, not surprisingly, all the miners looking really good on the back of that moving copper, but Sunfire are the outperformance by distance. Let's just do that. Let's just have a look at this. And pop up a Sunfire chart. Let's get rid of Uber and make that Sunfire. There we go, 8% to the upside on that surging copper price. There's the candle now. Let's just bring it up so you can see it. Very difficult to play. This is all-time highs for Sunfire. There's the weekly chart, so you can see the extent of that. But that big gap is almost untradeable, of course, because we hadn't just breached this resistance yet. So that has proved to be a little tricky in terms of getting on in there. If we look at FCX, that's Freeport McMoran, the company that mine was associated with. Really big copper company. You can see that drop by 16.9%. Alibaba, we talked about yesterday on Inner Circle as well, and JD both did well. JD did very well. There we go. We'll just put a line there. We'll come back to JD later because obviously that's not a. So I don't know about Sunfire. It looks great. Stanmore Resources, Basic Materials, New Farm Chemicals. Let's just see New Farm. It's going to be full of happy, joy feelings, particularly. Reviewer Solutions. Possible move up to. There's a 10% move potential in Bravura. So we have breached this level at 250. At 257 looks interesting. So essentially what happened with this is we had a huge earnings bump, closed the gap, bimbled around in this range. Now we're sort of potentially moving to the upside. Possible. Yeah, I thought it was around about 10%. 9.61 to retest that high. So that looks very positive, actually. Worth a look. I'm going to just drag a couple of charts into the mix. Yeah. Let's have a look at Champion Iron. I haven't had a look at Champion Iron for a little while. Really, Champion Iron is stuck by a resistance level. Possibly worth keeping on your radar. Looks as though it's testing this 473 level, potential move up to test the moving average. That's about 5% up to 491. Iluka, um, really strong move on Iluka. Keep an eye on 661. That's a very strong move there, but I think it just might get caught in here. What's LYC doing out of interest? 2.3%. So there you go. This just continues to deliver. I did say this. I talked about this on Monday. Watching for a break of 1533. So we have got that move. This is again all-time highs on Linus. Very positive move indeed. And Megaport we talked about the other day as well. This is also an interesting move. So we've got four to choose from at this stage. I'm just going to bring this over here. Um, I was just having a little bit of a pause lunchtime. What check in on Linus in the last hour? So I'm going to give it four. I'm thinking I'm going to give you three that I think are really worth having a look at. Linus is great. Megaport has breached that 1650 level, and Bravura Solutions looks as though it's ripe for a move to retest that high. So there's your three ASX ones today. So a bit of a bonus, lots of good moves, particularly in the last hour or so on the ASX. Let's check in on the US. We talked already, JD.com. There's your line in the sand at 35.50, possible move up. I would see this sort of up to this level here, around about 37.30. This was on the back of Alibaba doing very well. Yesterday, we talked about this pre-market. It was very strong. There's a line in the sand I put on this yesterday, 178.84. Why did I put that line in the sand there? Because of this previous price action here. So we're looking for a continuation of that move, really. So through 180, I would say looks as though it could move up to 200. That's a nice potential return there. That's going to be difficult to beat. Nvidia's having a little bit of a pullback again from another test of 183. You can see it's down and extended. I was trading by a little, so you might not be interested in trading that for right now. And we were looking at the airlines. Let's just find Delta. Oh, Delta were down yesterday. One of the stocks. JD Tesla. Tesla, boom. Where's that? So there's Tesla trend continuation in play in extended hours trading. Yeah, this is one to watch. That's a very strong move in after hours trading on Tesla. Um, so we had that high yesterday at 444.12. We've got an extension of that in today's trading, which would take us even higher. This just looks good for a move up to 500 at this stage. That level was really important because it was a high back here in December last year. So this move is spectacularly good. Possible move up to 483. Might pause there as it did here. But I think $500 are looking more and more likely. So there you go. That's your stuff for today. Keep an eye on copper. Aussie yen looking interesting. Kiwi USD just fluttering a little bit on this 15-minute bar. So there's a 30-minute bar. That's going to end up on the 30-minute bar in the bottom half, perhaps. So just check out on that. And we've got BVS, Megaport, and Linus as our ASX charts, and Baba and Tesla as our US offerings for today. That's it for right now. I hope that's been interesting and useful and all of that stuff. Um, Not sure how to expand the chart, Neil. If you're watching this on PC, then you can make the whole YouTube screen bigger. You'll see a little full screen in full screen in the corner of the. You can even do it on the phone. You see a full screen icon in the corner, or in the top right corner, usually from memory. Um, so give that a go. Um, if you're watching it on a phone, once you've done that, you turn it on its side, and you get the full screen version. Anyhow, let's say bye bye to you all. Thank you very much for popping in today to you all. As I said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and click that like on the way out if you've liked it. If you haven't, don't bother. Um, I love and leave you. We'll see you again soon. See some of you EA guys tonight, and of course, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye bye for now.